We have a very interesting session starting now. We have three very interesting papers. The session is called Methods, Processes, and Communities. And the first paper is called Fostering Co-UXers, UX, I suppose it's user in later age, co-design UX toolkit for the senior online community miOne. And it's a group of authors, Sónia Machado, Liliana Vale Costa, Óscar, Mealha, Ana Veloso, and Carlos Santos. I hope I pronounced correctly the names. And the paper will be presented by Liliana Vale Costa. So Liliana, you have the screen.
Thank
Usually
you.
say we have the floor, but now we have not the floor, but the screen. So please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Liliana, and the study that I'm going to present derives from the research that was undertaken by Sónia, Master Sónia, and who I had the pleasure to supervise jointly with the Professor Óscar Mealha. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here, but at the end you will find the contact if you are interested in to know more about the topic. So our research is entitled Fostering Co-UXers in the Later Age. And I will share with you what has been co-designing a UX toolkit that addresses active aging developed by our team that is entitled miOne. So this presentation is structured as follows. Firstly, I will talk about what is being a co-UXer of design processes. Then I will present the rationale for doing it, and then I'll move to the procedures undertaken and end with the results and main implications of the research. We come from a human-computer interaction background, and we have been assisting to some changes in this field. Both in the design and assessment process. If in the past we worried about usability, then we moved to user experience, and now we keep worrying about designing for well-being and quality of life. However, most of the design digitally mediated approaches that we see rely on the mental use, what the user is thinking, and then we use personas and rely on self-reporting data. In addition to this fact, there is a change in the designer's role from being a mere translator of what the user is thinking to a facilitator of co-designing and involving the end users in the context, as mentioned in the last presentation of the other session. You may also notice that there has been an increasing need to design for active aging, given the aging of a population. But many of the digital platforms in the market entitled for active aging do not consider different aspects as health, security, and participation in society that are part of the definition of the World Health Organization. So given all of things, this research aims to give a significant contribution in informing how can we involve senior citizens in co-design activities, being them co-UXers. What does that mean, being co-UXers? It's fostering collaboration between the development team and the end users in order to create impactful and added value experiences. So miOne is an online community for active aging. It is still in Portuguese, though. It will be in other languages in the future, but it is available on mione.altis.pt. In this context, the research question was, in what way can co-design influence senior citizens' experience with an online community? And as such, this work proposes a set of best practices. To meet this goal, an action research method was used. It evolved 4 phases that I will explain later. These are co-design research and toolkit development, then application of the toolkit, and then the assessment of the co-design toolkit, and it ended with the redesign of the online community miOne. As this is an action research, it involves at least 2 iterations. So after the redesign of the online community, we get back to the ideation of the toolkit and the application, and its application again and again. So what happened in phase 1? In this phase, the co-design techniques used with senior citizens were identified in the literature in order to understand what would be the motivations and context within the context of online communities. And then we identified a set of design guidelines that would sustain the toolkit. So if you could be asking, what does that toolkit contain? This contains activities divided into pre-experience, the experience itself, and post-experience activities, relying on brainstorming activities, reflective activities, activities carried out during the community. So these were the application of the toolkit followed with adult learners from universities of the third age, which are learning organizations that encourage older adults to share their knowledge, skills, and interests with others. Who were involved in this process? 5 universities of the third age, a total of 6 sessions. The universities of the third age have a criteria for having learners age 50 and over. Beyond that, we had a criteria of having interest in ICT. A total of 36 participants and 2 coordinators of ICT classes were involved. Then it was the time to assess the effectiveness of the toolkit, and the questionnaire was distributed to all participants who continued with us online. And you may be asking, online, but these sessions weren't presential. Yes, they were, but then our lovely master student had to readjust the activities to an online context due to COVID-19, given that all universities of third age were closed. And then with the data obtained from the questionnaire and interview, we had to redesign the toolkit. So a total of 21 participants answered the questionnaire, and both the questionnaire and interviews addressed the toolkit effectiveness and an opinion on the platform they interacted with. In the last phase, the online community was redesigned based on the evaluation of the miOne interface using eye tracking. The eye tracking process was not described in this paper, but this was also important to test the navigation and usability of online community. So you can find then further information about this process either in Sónia's dissertation and other publications. 5 adult learners participated in this eye tracking evaluation, and we had to make some readjustments in the platform in terms of navigability and visibility of the UI elements. So this is the best part of the process. We had to redesign the online community of the main page, we had to be careful with contrast. The icons were labeled, the position of information. This information came with eye tracking testing, for example, but the content, the services incorporated came from those co-design sessions and the context of use. Okay, so if you had been wondering what were the results, at the end, in the phase one, we identified a set of guidelines that came from the literature that we incorporated in the toolkit. Okay, for example, online cultural prose, storytelling games, those were exported in the toolkit. Then with the application, we contributed to the literature by adding some of the recommendations used, for example, the use of scenario building, how to ensure participation in daily routines, the involvement of coordinators. Those guidelines were added to the literature. And in phase three, with the assessment and of the toolkit effectiveness, some observations were added in terms of the self-expression and usage of the online community. I guess that I'm just ending. My time is over. So I invite you to read the paper if you're interested in this. The main contribution of this project is how to, in each phase, how to conduct a set of guidelines to conduct it in this process, the toolkit, how we can operate this process. It is explained. We had some limitations by using a convenience sample. The COVID outbreak needed made us to make some readjustments, and so these are some references. If you then are interested, Sónia will also be happy to hear from you, and we can answer also some questions.
Okay, thank you. So you were exact in time. We have, of course, time for some questions or comments. So please, who wants to?
Hello, thank you, Liliana.
Please try. Yes.
I was wondering, like, do you have any information about the usage time for the design app? Like, is it a couple of minutes, hours, days, like total usage time on average?
This was a semester. So the time for doing the thesis, the master thesis. So it was the whole semester. Presentially, we had 3 days that we went to the universities of the third age. So at least 19 minutes in each institution. But then with COVID-19, one of the main difficulties was to ensure the routines, because people were tired, had some familiar issues. So we then had the opportunity to extend our sample to some of the departments that were far away from us physically, and then we could be closer. But at the same time, the ones who participated in our sessions lost the routine, because these were many sessions after sessions. But it took longer, but I think that then the proposal for our online community of the redesign was reached, and the toolkit can be applied to other contexts beyond the online community, so it was worthy.
I will also put a couple of questions. So first of all, I understood that there were elder people, but what background? Maybe you said, but I missed. Have you said they were not specialists in IT? I understood, but what background? Technical, humanist? I don't know. Is it? Do you have such data and? Is it relevant? Is it interesting to make some analysis of their background and implication, for example, and results?
On the participants, yeah, yes, they had they were students at the universities of the third age. They had ICT classes, the beginning of it, okay. But they use ICT in terms of basic usage, okay. The not basic, the user, normal user, not you. They use ICT not in terms to communicate with others, social media, but not to develop work with that
Okay.
on a daily
Mhm.
basis.
Yes, thank you. And another question is, I understood that you used also some eye tracking devices, eye tracking
Yes,
devices.
yes.
Have you made some analysis where usually interesting data related, and you may use those images, how they moved their eyes on the screen and so on. Have you made, I don't know, maybe in the paper or?
Yeah. Yes, this the last phase eye tracking was used because there were some reported difficulties in terms of navigability, the interface, and visibility of some elements, and we didn't understand why the self-reported problems in during the co-design process. So then we had some doubts about it, so tested with eye tracking. Of course,
You compared what they said and
yes,
look at
we
tracking
had
data.
that inch that that wasn't working, but we didn't know why and things. So, but
Okay.
the eye tracking was used with 5 participants. It's a small sample. Of course, in the near future, we intend to explore further the eye tracking in order to do, for example, A/B testing with many participants. But within this context, we only use for that.
Yes, because usually this kind of data are very useful and very relevant. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, if there are no more questions, is
Well,
any?
I would like
Okay,
to
yes.
rehash your first question about the elderly people background. Do you have any information about what they did in their youth regarding their work? Did it imply devices, or they did work outside of the information technology work? For example, my mother is a teacher, and she's forced to use the various devices at school to teach even before COVID. This kind of thing.
Yes, they were they did not use. They used it. They introduced it. They were introduced by many of them by their grandchildren, by their in when they were retired.
So it was a voluntary thing, not a forced thing. Okay.
Yes,
so they were complete newbies regarding technology.
Yes, of course. Many senior citizens in this university use ICT very well in social media, read the news, everything. But this is the first the contact, because time they have much time now for they schedule their trips, but in their youth they didn't use technologies.
It would be
Okay,
interesting to
okay.
see a comparison
Absolutely.
in different countries regarding this.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, thank you. I think the time has passed, but now I saw on chat a question. Maybe Liliana, you
Yes, I
can
will.
answer on
In chat.
chat
Yeah.
because we have no more time.
Mhm.
Now I saw Alberto Magni put a question to every on the chat. Okay, so thank you, Liliana.